Hi, I'm Christina Edwards, and I teach nonprofits how to be extraordinary online fundraisers. All right, in this video today, we're going to talk about a really big one that I hear a lot of nonprofits complain about, and that's donor fatigue. So we're going to talk about if donor fatigue is even real. Is that even a real thing, or is that something that nonprofits and everybody who's drinking the fundraising Kool-Aid is complaining about? All right, let's dive in. So first, let's define what donor fatigue is. Donor fatigue is the construct that we've all decided is when we are making appeals too many times to the same person or same group of people over and over again. So let's think of your donor management database. We're thinking of those hundreds or thousands of names. You're making appeals to that same audience too often. That's sort of the definition of donor fatigue. Now, is there a possibility where there's a scenario where you're doing that? Yes. But is it likely that that's true for your organization? I'm going to tell you that I don't think it is. And I'm going to tell you why. I think that there is a construct where it feels like when we make an appeal and then a few weeks later, we have a different fundraiser and we make another appeal, there's this feeling like, oh, I'm asking too much. I keep asking over and over and over again. Now that's because you're behind the scenes and you're creating the content, or you're planning the upcoming fundraiser, or you're writing that appeal letter. You're like in the trenches. And the reality is somebody went to their mailbox and opened a letter from you and then forgot about it. That's the reality. And then maybe they got an email from you a few weeks later and they opened it and they remembered it. They didn't take action. Okay. So we're talking about a buffer period here of weeks or months. They're not getting annoyed with you. Not really. So I want you to ask yourself if you've ever thought that before, if it's even true. And if it sounds like, yeah, I've thought that before, I think I feel like I'm just reaching out to them too often, I want you to question that altogether. And here's a way you can kind of question that mindset gremlin, as we sometimes call it, okay? So think about that, whether it's for your organization, that like superstar nonprofit that maybe is in your niche, in your sector, that is doing amazing things, that is killing it, right? Think about who they are. Or let's look at some of the top charities in the United States. I'm going to give you one. One would be the American Red Cross. I'll give you two. Another one would be Habitat for Humanity. So I want you to think about Habitat for Humanity. Are they sitting around going, oh, I don't know, we just sent out that appeal letter. Should we send this email? No, let's not send an email to that same donor. That's just too much. No, they're not doing that. And better yet, do we think that thought process of donor fatigue and not wanting to turn people off got them to where they are today, which is one of the top charities in the US? No. If you want to get to that threshold or even scale past the 100,000, 500,000 or $1 million revenue mark, you're going to have to be willing to feel a little uncomfortable and to make those asks a lot more often. And one of the reasons why is the rule of 7. I teach this in a lot of my trainings. This really comes from the for-profit sector, and that's really where I get some of the juiciest trainings and the juiciest strategies to help you fundraise. And the rule of 7 basically says that the prospective buyer should hear or see your marketing message at least 7 times before they buy it. So how does that translate for nonprofits? What that means is, let's say you're launching a monthly giving program, or you're selling tickets to an annual fundraiser. If you announce it and make that ask 1 time or 2 times, you're not even close to the rule of 7. You're not even close. And we live in a world where we have more distractions than ever. We want to take action on something very, very often. And guess what happens? We forget. Our phone rings. We get a text message. Something cool happens on TV. We get distracted and an email pops up. And just before somebody was going to press donate or fill out that appeal return card or take action on your Facebook donate sticker or button, they get distracted. We totally forget. And you're sitting here as a development director or a communications manager or marketer going, I don't want to alienate them. I don't want to ask again. It'll be too soon. I'm here to tell you it's not too soon. I'm here to tell you that you can ask again. There is a key though. There's one thing you want to do to make sure you do it correctly. And that is, you don't want to make the same appeal or same, we'll say marketing message 7 times. So what that translates to, where I see a lot of nonprofits get it wrong is, let's say we have a graphic asset, like a creative invite that you've been sharing online. So it's announcing that spring fundraiser and it's that like invite piece, right? Do not share that piece of content 7 times and expect to have great ROI, okay? So if you have that same image and like a similar or same caption 7 times, everyone, including myself, is going to be very turned off by it. We're probably are going to be annoyed at that point. But what it looks like when you do this successfully and you follow the rule of 7 successfully is we announce the spring fundraiser. We've got that invite graphic. Then a few days later, we talk about something else. We talk about an impact point, a person served, a volunteer spotlight, some other happening, a look back from last month or last year, okay? We're giving something non-appeal. And then maybe when it's time next week to make that next touch, we're doing it via email instead of via social media. And then the next time you're announcing or making another appeal online, we have a completely different image. So you're breaking up both the frequency, the content image or copy, the caption that goes with it, so that people aren't feeling turned off at all. This works like a charm. I see it work over and over again. And the key here is to come from the place of like donor fatigue is not a problem, okay? I'm not worried about that at all as I market this upcoming fundraiser, as I create this next appeal. Don't even worry about it. And then the last thing that I want you to do after you've followed the rule of 7 successfully, which I have a blog on, I'm going to link here in the notes. You can head over to that blog if you want more specific ways and sort of a way to follow it through, okay? But the last thing that I want you to think about is really some other solutions. So if you're a smaller nonprofit and you have a smaller donor base, that is a problem, right? That is going to prevent you from growing. You will stay treading water. We know that to be true, okay? So if that sounds like you, then we have kind of a donor base problem that we want to tackle that's separate to really this donor fatigue problem. And if we can get to the place where you're growing your donor base, where you're steadily growing it each month, then we almost eliminate the donor fatigue problem at all. Okay. And if you're asking, yeah, that sounds really great now, but how do I double my donor base or how do I increase my donor base? It's through a lot of what my videos talk about. It's through these social fundraising efforts. It's through creating your social street team. It's through activating those people to become vocal advocates on your behalf. When you do that effectively, more donors come organically month after month, fundraiser after fundraiser. It's a great way to get started. Okay. So let's wrap up kind of like, what did we learn today? We learned that donor fatigue is pretty much a construct. And as long as you're balancing that, as long as you're balancing your appeals online and really through direct mail with some storytelling, with different content, with different creative, it's not a problem. And the big thing we also learned is, did the top 10 charities in the US really think or get concerned, or was donor fatigue a blip on their radar that got them to where they are today? Absolutely not. They did not go, oh, should we send this email? They just sent it. They followed a schedule, they followed a plan, they followed through, and they sent it. And anytime someone hits unsubscribe, it's totally fine. They're not your person, okay? We want to build out more people that are like your superstar donors. We want to find more of them. And that's your goal, okay? If you like this video and are new to the rule of 7, I want to hear about it. Leave me a comment and make sure that you hit subscribe below. And I'll link to that blog as well. I'll see you next time.